Hey everyone, tonight we step quietly into the heart of the ancient world, Babylon, a city of beauty and brilliance, but also one that could end you without ever drawing a blade. Its power lay not just in walls and armies, but in the way it watched, remembered, and decided your fate long before you saw it coming. Before we begin, take a second to like the video and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy the kind of deep, immersive journeys we take here. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is. I'm always curious about the corners of the world these stories reach. Now, settle in, dim the lights, let the quiet settle around you, and together, we'll walk the streets of Babylon, a city that greets you with open gates and closes them just as quietly. You arrive at the gates of Babylon, a weary traveler seeking respite from the dusty roads. But as you approach the towering Ishtar Gate, its blue-glazed bricks shimmering in the harsh sunlight, you feel a shift in the air. This is no mere waypoint on your journey. This is Babylon, and Babylon has noticed you. Under the watchful gaze of the golden lions that guard the gate, you take your first steps into the city. Their frozen snarls seem to follow your every move, their eyes holding secrets older than empires. The lions are not just decorations, they are sentinels, marking the boundary between the world you knew and the world you're about to enter. As you pass beneath the arch, the cool shadow falls over you like a veil. The noise of the outside world fades, replaced by the echoing whisper of your own footsteps. You can't shake the feeling that you've crossed more than just a threshold. You've entered a realm where every action, every word, every breath is noted and remembered. In the dim light of the passage, you catch glimpses of movement. A scribe, hunched over a clay tablet, his stylus scratching out marks that will outlast lifetimes. Your arrival is being recorded, your presence etched into the very fabric of the city. From this moment on, you are no longer anonymous. You are a name, a face, a story that Babylon will not forget. The scribe's eyes flick up to meet yours for just an instant, and in that fleeting connection, you understand. Your journey, your purpose, your very essence is now part of Babylon's vast memory. The wet clay accepts the imprint of your existence, and as it dries, so too does your fate become intertwined with the city's. You continue deeper into the passage, the walls seeming to press in around you. The air grows thick with the scent of incense and the weight of countless stories. Every shadow holds a watcher, every corner conceals a listener. The merchants who nod as you pass are not just traders but informants, their eyes cataloguing your appearance, your manner, the contents of your purse. Guards stand at attention, their spears glinting in the torchlight, but their weapons are the least of your concerns. It's their unwavering gaze that unsettles you, the way they seem to look through you, assessing your worth, your potential, your threat. As you emerge from the passage into the sprawling expanse of Babylon proper, the true scale of the city's power becomes apparent. Towering ziggurats reach for the heavens, their step-sides a stairway for gods and kings. The hanging gardens cascade in verdant terraces, a paradise plucked from myth and made real by the will of Babylon's rulers. But it's not the grandeur that makes your breath catch in your throat. It's the realization that every street, every building, every face you see is part of an intricate web, a web that has now ensnared you, gently but inescapably. In the marketplace, voices haggle and laugh, but beneath the jovial atmosphere, you sense a current of watchfulness. The fruit seller, who offers you a pomegranate, does so with a smile that doesn't quite reach his eyes. The old woman weaving baskets seems to whisper your description to her neighbor as you pass. You find yourself at the foot of the great ziggurat of Etemenanke, its 7 tiers stretching impossibly high. As you crane your neck to take in its majesty, you feel exposed, vulnerable. From its summit, the priests of Marduk can see all of Babylon, and all of Babylon can see you. Night falls, and the city transforms. Torches flicker to life along the streets, casting dancing shadows that seem to move with purpose. The air fills with the mingled sense of cooking fires, exotic spices, and the faint metallic temps of intrigue. You seek refuge in a tavern, hoping to lose yourself in the crowd. But as you sip your beer, brewed from recipes as old as civilization itself, you notice the subtle glances, the hushed conversations that fall silent as you approach. Even here, in the depths of night, in the most common of places, Babylon's eyes are upon you. Sleep, when it comes, is fitful. Your dreams are filled with the rustling of papyrus, the scraping of stylus on clay, the whispered reports of 1,000 unseen observers. You wake with the certainty that your every movement, your every word, has been recorded and analyzed. As dawn breaks over the city, painting the ziggurat's tiles in shades of gold and crimson, you realize the truth. Babylon doesn't need swords to conquer you. It has already claimed you, body and soul, with nothing more than knowledge. You are known now, known in a way that goes beyond mere recognition. Babylon has peered into the depths of your being, has measured the weight of your ambitions and the reach of your fears. It has added you to its vast tapestry of lives and fates, woven you into the very fabric of its existence. And as you contemplate your next move, wondering if there's any path that leads away from this all-seeing, all-knowing metropolis, you understand the final, inescapable truth. Babylon does not need to lift a sword to end you, for in knowing you so completely, it has already decided your fate. You are no longer the author of your own story. You are a character in Babylon's grand narrative, a tale written in clay and stone, in whispers and shadows. Your journey, your purpose, your very identity have been absorbed into the collective memory of this ancient city, and Babylon, eternal and unyielding, does not easily relinquish what it has claimed. As you step out into the bustling streets ready to face another day under Babylon's watchful gaze, you can't help but wonder, is this the end of your story, or merely the beginning of a tale far greater and more terrible than you could have ever imagined? The lions of the Ishtar Gate seem to smirk as you pass, their knowing eyes following your every step. You are in Babylon now, and Babylon knows you. There is no turning back, no escape. You have been measured, recorded, and judged. Welcome to Babylon, traveler. May the gods have mercy on your soul, for Babylon rarely does. The river greets you first, a whisper of possibility carried on the cool morning air. You've heard tales of its might, of the empires that rose and fell along its banks, but nothing prepares you for the reality. As the pale sky bleeds from indigo to rose, the Euphrates reveals itself, a mirror to the heavens and the lifeblood of Babylon. You stand transfixed, watching as the city awakens along its shores. The hum of life grows steadily, like an orchestra tuning up for a grand performance. Fishermen push their boats into the gentle current, their nets trailing behind them like gossamer wings. On the banks, sleepy-eyed children splash and laugh, their voices carried across the water in playful echoes. But it's not just the sight that captivates you. There's a scent in the air, earthy and ancient, a perfume that speaks of fertile soil and countless harvests. It's the breath of the Euphrates itself, carrying whispers of distant mountains and the promise of abundance. As you make your way closer to the water's edge, you encounter the water-bearers. Men and women move with practiced grace, their clay jars balanced expertly on shoulders and hips. The sound of water sloshing into the vessels is a rhythm as old as the city itself, a quiet song of trust between the people and their river. You watch as a young woman dips her jar into the flow, her movements fluid and reverent. Her eyes meet yours for a moment, and in that glance, you see generations of reliance on this liquid lifeline. The Euphrates is more than a river to these people. It's a god, a provider, a constant in a world of shifting sands and rising empires. An old man approaches, his face a map of sun-weathered wrinkles. He gestures to the water, speaking in a language you don't understand, but his meaning is clear. Drink, he seems to say, partake in the gift of the river. And despite a nagging voice of caution in the back of your mind, you find yourself kneeling at the water's edge, cupping your hands to bring the Euphrates to your lips. The water is cool and sweet, carrying the taste of distant mountains and ancient stone. For a moment, you feel connected to every soul who has ever knelt here, from humble farmers to mighty kings. But as you swallow, another sensation creeps in, a whisper of unease, a premonition of something unseen. Beneath the calm surface of the Euphrates, hidden from your eyes, lies another world entirely. The water that sustains Babylon also carries its silent threats. Microscopic invaders drift in every droplet, waiting to take root in unsuspecting bodies. The silt that fertilizes the fields also harbors the eggs of parasites, patient predators biding their time. You rise, wiping your mouth, unaware of the invisible passengers you've just welcomed into your system. The old man nods approvingly, and you force a smile, pushing away the growing discomfort in your gut. It's nothing, you tell yourself, just the nerves of a traveler in a strange land. As the sun climbs higher, you make your way into the heart of Babylon. The streets bustle with life, merchants hawking their wares, scribes etching clay tablets with the day's transactions. But even here, far from the river's banks, you can feel its presence. It's in the sweat on the brows of laborers, the steam rising from cooking pots, the splash of water in courtyard fountains. You pass a temple, its walls adorned with images of river gods and water spirits. Priests chant prayers to the Euphrates, beseeching its continued benevolence. You wonder if they know the true nature of the deity they worship, life-giver and death-bringer, nurturer and destroyer. As the day wears on, you find yourself drawn back to the river. The afternoon sun turns its surface to molten gold, hypnotic in its beauty, but now you see it with different eyes. The children splashing in the shallows are no longer just playing, they're dancing with unseen dangers. The fishermen casting their nets are gambling with more than just their daily catch. You watch a group of women washing clothes, their laughter carried on the breeze, their hands plunge into the water again and again, and you wonder how many times they've unwittingly brought sickness into their homes. The Euphrates gives, but it also takes, in ways too small for the eye to see. As twilight approaches, you make your way to the great ziggurat that looms over the city. From its heights, you can see the full sweep of the Euphrates, a dark serpent winding through the landscape. Lights begin to twinkle along its banks, and for a moment, it's easy to forget the hidden currents that flow beneath the surface. But then, a chill runs through you, a tremor that has nothing to do with the cooling air. Your stomach churns, a dull ache spreading through your limbs. You remember the water you drank, the invisible world you invited in with each swallow. The breath of the Euphrates is in you now, for better or worse. As night falls over Babylon, you realize that this city has claimed you in ways you never expected. You came as a traveler, thinking to pass through unscathed, but the Euphrates knows your name now, has tasted your essence. Whether you stay or go, a part of you will always belong to this place, to this river that gives life and takes it away with equal indifference. You descend from the ziggurat, your steps unsteady, your future uncertain. The streets of Babylon stretch before you, full of shadows and secrets, and through it all flows the Euphrates, silent and eternal, carrying the fate of empires in its depths. You've walked out of your own time and into the pages of history. The blue-glazed bricks of the Ishtar Gate rise above you, each tile catching the starlight in a way that makes the lions and dragons look alive. You've seen photographs in museums, but here, they tower, breathing heat and history into your face. And as you pass beneath them, you know that Babylon has learned your face, your gait, the sound of your voice. From this moment, you are no longer just a traveler. You are a name on a clay tablet, and Babylon does not let go of its names. The Euphrates has breathed its ancient breath into you, and whether it brings blessing or curse, you are forever changed. In the heart of this timeless city, on the banks of this ageless river, your story has only just begun. You step off the dusty road, your feet sinking into the soft earth beside the canal. The narrow waterway glints in the afternoon sun, its surface a mirror broken only by drifting leaves and the lazy glide of insects. For a moment, you're transfixed by the stillness, the way the light dances on the water. But then you feel it, the weight of Babylon's gaze upon you. The city doesn't announce its scrutiny with trumpets or proclamations. It's in the eyes of the canal-side merchants, their gazes flickering over your strange clothes and unfamiliar face. It's in the way conversations hush as you pass, only to resume in urgent whispers once you're beyond earshot. You've crossed more than just a physical threshold. You've entered a realm where every droplet of water holds secrets, and the very air seems to catalogue your presence. The still water of the canals belies the churning undercurrents of life in Babylon. These aren't just channels for irrigation or transport. They're the lifeblood of the city, carrying whispers and warnings, fortunes and fates. You watch a lotus blossom drift by, its petals barely disturbing the surface, and wonder what messages it might carry to eager ears downstream. As you follow the canal's winding path deeper into the city, the breathless heat descends like a heavy cloak. The air hangs motionless, thick with the scent of mud and reeds. It presses against your skin, drawing beads of sweat that trickle down your back. In the distance, you hear the rhythmic creaking of water wheels and the calls of the workers who tend them, their voices carrying across the still air with eerie clarity. The heat seems to amplify every sensation. The slap of your sandals against the packed earth echoes too loudly. Your breath comes in shallow pants, each inhalation filling your lungs with the rich, earthy aroma of the canal-side vegetation. You pass a group of women drawing water, their colorful robes a stark contrast to the muddy banks. They pause in their work, eyeing you with a mixture of curiosity and wariness. One leans close to her companion, whispering something that makes the other woman's eyes widen. You realize, with a start, that your presence is already rippling through the city. Word of the stranger by the canals will spread faster than you can walk, carried on the same currents that bring life to Babylon's gardens and fields. In this place, information flows as freely as water, and you are now part of that flow. As the sun begins to dip towards the horizon, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose, a new tension creeps into the air. The day's oppressive heat begins to fade, but in its place comes a different kind of discomfort. You notice people hurrying to finish their tasks, casting anxious glances at the darkening sky. Shopkeepers close their stores with haste, and mothers call their children in from play with sharp, urgent cries. At first, you don't understand the source of this sudden urgency. Then you see them, tiny swarms rising from the canals, barely visible in the fading light. They dance on the air currents, ghostly and insubstantial, yet carrying a weight of dread that you can feel in the pit of your stomach. These are no ordinary insects. These are the bearers of Babylon's invisible plague, the fever that creeps into the city with the night. You watch as a cloud of these minuscule harbingers drifts past, their movements eerily purposeful. A merchant hurrying home swats at them frantically, his face a mask of fear. You realize that every night, Babylon wages a silent war against these unseen invaders, a battle fought, not with swords and spears, but with closed shutters and smoldering herbs. The canals, so serene and life-giving by day, take on a sinister aspect in the gathering dusk. Their still surfaces now seem to conceal untold dangers, breeding grounds for the fever that can lay low the mightiest warrior or the wisest scribe. You find yourself quickening your pace, seeking shelter from the encroaching night and its invisible threats. As you hurry along the canal-side path, you pass a small shrine. An old woman kneels before it, her wizened hands busy arranging offerings, small clay figurines, bowls of grain, and burning incense. Her lips move in silent prayer, beseeching the gods for protection against the night's unseen perils. For a moment, your eyes meet, and you see in her gaze a lifetime of nights like this, of fears faced and overcome. The streets grow quieter as darkness falls, the usual bustle of city life giving way to an uneasy silence. Here and there, you catch glimpses of light from behind tightly shuttered windows, hear muffled voices raised in conversation or prayer. Babylon doesn't sleep. It waits, holding its breath against the fever-laden night. You find yourself before a modest inn, its door still open in welcome to late-arriving travelers. The innkeeper eyes you with a mixture of professional interest and personal concern. "Best come inside, stranger," he says, his voice gruff but not unkind. The night air in Babylon is no friend to those unaccustomed to its ways. As you cross the threshold, you feel the weight of the city's gaze lift slightly. But even as the door closes behind you, shutting out the night and its invisible swarms, you know that Babylon has marked you. Your name, your face, the very scent of your foreign clothes, all have been noted and catalogued by the city's ever-watchful eyes and ears. In the common room of the inn, travelers from distant lands huddle over cups of strong wine, swapping stories and warnings in hushed voices. You catch fragments of conversation, tales of fever dreams and wasting sicknesses, of mighty men laid low by the tiniest of foes. An old man with eyes like clouded glass speaks of friends lost to the canal fever, his voice thick with memory and unshed tears. As you settle onto a rough wooden bench, a serving girl brings you a bowl of steaming broth. "Drink," she urges, her eyes serious beyond her years. It helps keep the fever at bay. You sip the pungent liquid, tasting unfamiliar herbs and spices. Whether it truly offers protection or merely comfort, you're grateful for this small act of kindness in a city that suddenly seems vast and unknowable. The night wears on, and gradually, the tension in the air begins to ease. Voices grow louder, laughter more frequent. The travelers around you begin to relax, the immediate threat of the fever-bearing swarms receding in the face of good food, strong drink, and shared company. But underneath the growing conviviality, you sense a core of wariness that never quite disappears. As you prepare for sleep, laying out your bedroll in a corner of the common room, you reflect on the day's journey. You came to Babylon seeking wonders, the hanging gardens, the great ziggurat, the fabled wealth of its markets. Instead, you've discovered a city of hidden currents and invisible dangers, where life and death flow through the same narrow canals. You close your eyes, but sleep is slow to come. In your mind, you see again the still waters of the canals, now dark and forbidding under the night sky. You hear the buzz of unseen swarms, feel the weight of countless unseen eyes, and you understand, with a clarity that's both exhilarating and terrifying, that Babylon has indeed claimed you. From this moment, you are no longer just a traveler passing through. You are a name whispered in the night, a face remembered by sharp-eyed merchants and wary guards. You are a story waiting to be told, a fate yet to be decided. And as you finally drift into an uneasy sleep, you know that Babylon, with its glories and its terrors, its visible wonders and its invisible plagues, will never truly let you go. From that instant, you are no longer just a visitor. You are a thread in Babylon's intricate web, and this ancient metropolis does not easily let its threads unravel. You move from the sun-baked street into the labyrinth of stalls, with the unsettling sensation that you slip from your own time into a realm where past and present blur. The vibrant fabrics overhead create a kaleidoscope of light and shadow, making the piles of exotic goods seem to shimmer and dance. You've seen depictions in books and museums, but here, the scents of cinnamon and myrrh, the cacophony of 100 languages, the press of bodies, it all assaults your senses with an intensity no image could capture. At first, you don't notice how the eyes of the merchants follow you, not directly, but with a keen interest that goes beyond the hope of a sale. Their gazes linger on your strange clothes, your unfamiliar gait, the way your eyes widen at sights they've known since childhood. You don't realize that with each step, each hesitation, each exclamation of wonder, you're giving away more about yourself than you intend. You weave through the narrow alleys between stalls, the air thick with the mingled aromas of spices and humanity. It's cooler here in the shade, but heavy, as if the very atmosphere is laden with secrets. You don't understand yet that in entering this maze, you've stepped into a world where information is the most valuable currency of all. The maze of stalls stretches before you, an endless tapestry of color and commerce. Woven awnings cast their shifting shade over baskets brimming with plump dates, their sticky sweetness perfuming the air. Mounds of spices form miniature mountains: ochre, turmeric, blood red, saffron, earthy cumin. Each heap tells a story of far-off lands and perilous journeys. As you brush past strangers, their robes whispering against yours, you feel the press of bodies, the shared breath of 1,000 stories. A child darts between legs, laughing, pursued by an exasperated mother. An old man with eyes like clouded glass runs gnarled fingers over bolts of silk, assessing their quality with a touch more sensitive than sight. You pause at a stall, drawn by the glint of copper and silver. The merchant's smile is wide, inviting, but his eyes are sharp, cataloguing every detail of your appearance. As he begins his pitch, you realize the game has already begun, and you're not sure of the rules. The tongue's weight becomes apparent as you listen to the ebb and flow of conversation around you. Barter blends seamlessly with rumor, the clink of coins punctuating whispered confidences. Merchants trade, not just in goods but in names, debts, and secrets. Their half-heard sentences forming a complex code you struggle to decipher. A woman argues passionately over the price of a bolt of linen, her words a rapid-fire mix of plea and threat, but beneath the haggling you catch fragments of something else, a name dropped like a pebble into still water, sending ripples of tension through those nearby. A debt mentioned casually, but the way heads turn tells you it's anything but trivial. You lean in, straining to catch more, only to find the conversation has shifted, flowing around you like water around a stone. The merchant's eyes meet yours for a moment, and you see the calculation there, wondering what you've heard, what you know, what you might be worth. As you move on, the weight of words unsaid presses down on you. You begin to understand that here, in the heart of Babylon, a carelessly spoken phrase can be sharper than any blade, more binding than any chain. The market hums with the power of information exchanged, alliances formed and broken with nothing more than a nod or a whispered word. You find yourself speaking less, listening more, acutely aware that every interaction is a negotiation, every conversation a potential minefield. The simple act of buying fruit becomes a delicate dance of words and gestures, each party probing for weakness, for leverage, for that crucial bit of knowledge that might tip the scales. As the day wears on, you feel the accumulated weight of all you've heard and all you haven't said. Secrets buzz in your ears like insects, making it hard to focus on the mundane act of shopping. You've entered a world where silence has value, where what's left unsaid can be more powerful than any proclamation. It's then that you notice the listening stranger. At first, they're just another figure in the crowd, leaning casually against a post near a stall selling intricate carpets. But as you watch, you realize their stillness sets them apart. While others browse and barter, this person remains motionless, their attention focused not on the wares but on the words floating through the air. As you pass under the arch, back into the open air beyond the city walls, you take a deep breath, trying to clear your lungs of the heavy air of secrets and intrigue. But the scribe is still there, his clay tablet now dry, your presence in Babylon recorded for eternity. You walk away, back onto the dusty road that led you here. But you know that a part of you will always remain in that labyrinth of whispers. For Babylon has marked you, not with a brand or a seal, but with the invisible ink of secrets heard and unspoken. And as the city fades into the distance behind you, you can't help but wonder, what tales will they tell of you in the market tomorrow? You arrive in Babylon, a weary traveler seeking respite from the dusty roads. But as you cross the threshold of the great ziggurat, you become more than a passing stranger. Your footsteps echo through ancient halls, and unseen eyes mark your presence. In this realm of gods and kings, you are now a player in a game far older than empires. The steps to heaven rise before you, a colossal stairway of sun-baked clay. Each tier narrows as it climbs, drawing your gaze inexorably upward. The ziggurat looms against the harsh blue sky, a mountain fashioned by mortal hands to touch the realm of the divine. You begin your ascent, each step a silent prayer, each level bringing you closer to the searing light above. As you climb, the city shrinks beneath you. The sprawling markets, the winding streets, the glittering canals, all become a tapestry of tiny figures and distant sounds. But it's not the view that takes your breath away. It's the weight of history pressing down upon your shoulders, the countless souls who have made this same journey before you. At last, you reach the summit, gasping in the thin air. The temple door stands before you, its wood ancient and scarred by countless years. You hesitate, knowing that once you cross this threshold, you enter a world where the lines between earth and heaven blur. The inner threshold welcomes you with cool shadows and the heady scent of incense. Your eyes, still dazzled by the sun, struggle to adjust to the dimness. Carved bricks line the corridors, their intricate patterns telling stories of gods and heroes. The air is thick with whispered prayers and the faint rustle of robes. You move deeper into the temple's heart, your footsteps muffled on worn stone. Behind you, other feet shuffle in the darkness, priests, supplicants, or something else entirely. You dare not turn to look. In this sacred space, every shadow holds secrets, and every corner conceals eyes that watch and judge. The narrow passages twist and turn, leading you ever inward. Flickering oil lamps cast dancing shadows on the walls, making the carved figures seem to move and breathe. You pass altars laden with offerings, their surfaces sticky with spilled wine and melted fat. The scent of sacrifice hangs heavy in the air, a reminder of the power that dwells within these walls. Suddenly, you find yourself in a vast chamber, its ceiling lost in darkness above. Massive statues of gods and monsters loom over you, their stone eyes seeming to follow your every move. In the center of the room, a group of robed figures huddle in hushed conversation. Their words are too low to hear, but the tension in their postures speaks of weighty matters being discussed. As you watch from the shadows, you begin to understand. This is where the true power of Babylon resides, not in the king's palace or the bustling markets, but here in the heart of the ziggurat. Here, priests and politicians whisper the words that shape empires, their voices blending with the prayers of the faithful. You take a step back, suddenly aware of your intrusion, but it's too late. One of the robed figures turns, fixing you with a piercing gaze. In that moment, you realize that your presence has been noted, your face remembered. You are no longer just a traveler passing through. You have become part of Babylon's great tapestry. The door that closes sounds behind you with a dull final thud. You spin around, heart pounding, but there is no handle, no way to open it from this side. The cool stone presses against your palms as you search frantically for a hidden latch, a secret mechanism. But there is nothing. You turn back to face the chamber, expecting to see the robed figures advancing on you, but they are gone, vanished as if they had never been. The vast room is empty now, save for the towering statues and the weight of unseen eyes upon you. In the silence that follows, you begin to understand the true nature of Babylon's power. It doesn't need swords or armies to conquer. It ensnares with whispers and secrets, with knowledge both divine and profane. The ziggurat's shadow falls long across the land, and all who enter its halls become part of its grand design. You sink to the floor, your back against the unyielding door. How long will you be kept here? What purpose do you serve in the intricate dance of politics and faith that governs this ancient city? The answers elude you, slipping away like smoke on the wind. As the hours pass, you begin to hear voices, sometimes clear and near, other times distant and muffled. They speak of star charts and omens, of rival kingdoms and divine favor. Names are mentioned, some familiar from your travels, others strange and exotic. You strain to catch every word, knowing that knowledge is your only currency in this shadowy realm. Time loses all meaning in the windowless chamber. You doze fitfully, jolted awake by the occasional sound of footsteps or the rustle of robes. Each time you open your eyes, the room seems slightly different. Statues moved, offerings changed, shadows falling in new patterns. Or perhaps it's your mind playing tricks, addled by hunger and thirst. At last, when you've almost given up hope, the door behind you swings open. A priest stands there, his face impassive beneath his tall headdress. He gestures for you to follow, not speaking a word. You scramble to your feet, legs stiff from sitting so long. As you follow the priest through winding corridors, you realize that you're not being led out of the ziggurat. Instead, you're going deeper, descending stairs you don't remember climbing. The air grows cooler, damper. The walls are no longer carved with grand scenes. Now they bear row upon row of tiny cuneiform script, countless clay tablets pressed into the wet plaster. Finally, you emerge into a vast underground chamber. Shelves line the walls, stretching up into darkness, each one filled with clay tablets. In the center of the room, a group of scribes work silently, their reed styluses scratching against fresh clay. The priest leads you to an empty writing desk and hands you a blank tablet. His meaning is clear. You are to record everything you saw and heard during your time in the upper chamber. Every whispered conversation, every half-glimpsed ritual, every name that passed your ears. As you press the stylus into the soft clay, you understand the true genius of Babylon's power. It doesn't need to threaten or coerce. It simply waits, patient as the stone itself, knowing that all who enter its gates will eventually yield their secrets, and in doing so, they become part of the city's vast, living memory. You work through the night, your hand cramping as you struggle to remember every detail. When you finish, the priest takes your tablet without a word and places it on a nearby shelf. You watch as it disappears among countless others, your story becoming just another thread in Babylon's grand tapestry. As dawn breaks, you find yourself standing once more before the Ishtar Gate, its blue-glazed lions gleaming in the early light. You blink, wondering if it was all a dream, but the weight of unseen eyes still presses upon you, and you know that somewhere in the ziggurat's shadowy halls, your name is now inscribed in clay. You may leave Babylon's walls, but you will never truly escape its grasp. For in this ancient city, knowledge is power, and secrets are the currency that buys both salvation and damnation. The shadow of the ziggurat falls long across the land, and all who pass beneath it are forever changed. The streets pulse with life, a cacophony of languages and scents that overwhelm your senses. Merchants hawk their wares, their voices rising above the din of donkey carts and sandaled feet. You tell yourself you'll stay for a day, maybe two, just long enough to rest and resupply before continuing your journey. But Babylon has other plans. As the sun dips low, painting the ziggurats in hues of gold and crimson, you find yourself drawn to a courtyard. The air is thick with the aroma of roasted meats and freshly baked bread. Long, low tables groan under the weight of a feast fit for kings. Your stomach rumbles, reminding you it's been hours since your last meal. You hesitate, but only for a moment. After all, what harm could come from accepting a bit of hospitality? The tables stretch before you, an endless bounty of delights. Loaves of bread, still warm from the oven, sit nestled beside bowls of glistening dates, dripping with honey. Platters of lamb, so tender it falls from the bone, send tendrils of savory smoke spiraling into the air. And everywhere, clay mugs brim with frothy beer, its golden hue catching the light of flickering oil lamps. You take a seat, your mouth watering at the sight. A stranger to your left raises his cup in greeting, his smile wide and inviting. To your right, a woman with kohl-rimmed eyes offers you a piece of bread. The chatter around you rises and falls like waves, punctuated by bursts of laughter and the strumming of a lyre. You lift a mug to your lips, savoring the rich, slightly bitter taste of the beer. It slides down your throat, cool and refreshing after the heat of the day. Before you know it, your cup is empty, but a hand appears as if by magic to refill it. The night wears on, and you find yourself swept up in the revelry. Stories are shared, jokes are told, and songs are sung in languages you don't understand, but somehow feel you know. The strangers around you no longer feel so strange. Their faces blur into a sea of warmth and welcome, their laughter infectious. You don't notice how your tongue begins to loosen, how secrets you've held close to your chest for years suddenly seem safe to share. You don't see the glances that pass between your new friends, the way their eyes linger on you a moment too long. You're too caught up in the moment, in the heady rush of belonging. Another mug is pressed into your hand, and you drink deeply without thinking. The beer tastes different now, sharper somehow, with an undertone you can't quite place, but the warmth in your belly drowns out any concern, and you smile at the man who brought it to you. It's only later, as the night stretches towards dawn, that you begin to feel ... off. The room that once felt cozy now seems stifling. The laughter that surrounded you takes on a mocking edge. You try to stand, but your legs feel weak, unsteady. A bitter taste coats your tongue, and you realize with sudden clarity that it's not just from the beer. Your vision swims, the faces around you distorting into grotesque masks. Panic rises in your throat, but your limbs are too heavy to move. As darkness creeps in at the edges of your sight, you understand the truth that Babylon has known all along. Not every guest who sits at this table will rise to see the morning sun. You came to Babylon thinking you were just passing through, but Babylon had other plans, and now it will be your final resting place. A cautionary tale whispered to other travelers, a reminder that in this ancient city, even the simplest pleasures can hide the deadliest of dangers. For in Babylon, conquest doesn't always come at the point of a sword. Sometimes it arrives with a smile, a warm loaf of bread, and a cup of poisoned beer. The city that has stood for millennia knows patience. It knows that not every battle is won with blood and steel. Sometimes the most effective weapon is a feast laid out for a weary traveler, a toast shared among newfound friends, and the bitter aftertaste of trust betrayed. As your consciousness fades, you realize that Babylon has claimed you, body and soul. Your story will become part of its tapestry, woven into the very fabric of its ancient streets. And somewhere in the depths of the city, behind walls of glazed brick and under the watchful eyes of stone lions, someone raises a cup in your honor. For in Babylon, every ending is just another beginning. Every death feeds the life of the city, ensuring its legacy will endure long after empires crumble and kings turn to dust. You came to Babylon thinking you were just passing through, but from the moment you stepped through its gates, you became a part of its eternal story. A tale of hospitality and betrayal, of warmth and poison, of a city that knows the power of patience and the deadliness of kindness. And as the sun rises over the ziggurats, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, Babylon awakens. The streets filled once more with the bustle of life, the air thick with the scent of fresh bread and the sound of haggling merchants. New travelers arrive, their eyes wide with wonder as they gaze upon the hanging gardens and the towering temples. They, too, think they're just passing through, but Babylon knows better. It always has. For in this ancient city, where empires were born and gods once walked, every stranger is a potential story waiting to be written. And Babylon, patient and eternal, is always ready with pen in hand, eager to add another chapter to its never-ending tale. So the next time you find yourself at the gates of a city steeped in history and mystery, remember the lesson of Babylon. Sometimes, the greatest dangers lie not in swords or spears, but in a warm smile and an outstretched hand. For in the game of empires and eternity, Babylon has learned that the deadliest weapon of all is hospitality, wielded with cunning and cruelty. You come to Babylon thinking you're just passing through, but the moment you step beneath the shadow of its ancient walls, the city claims you as its own, and whether your tale ends in triumph or tragedy, in glory or in silent, forgotten corners, you become a part of Babylon's story. A story that has endured for millennia and will continue long after your bones have turned to dust. For that is the true power of Babylon, not its armies or its riches, but its ability to absorb every traveler, every tale, every triumph and tragedy into the very fabric of its being. And so, as the sun sets once more on the city of wonders, Babylon waits, patient, eternal, ready to welcome the next unsuspecting traveler with open arms and a deadly smile. For in Babylon, every ending is just another beginning, and the city's hunger for stories, for souls, for the essence of those who dare to walk its streets, is never truly sated. You come to Babylon thinking you're just passing through, but Babylon knows better. It always has, and it always will. You enter the palace of 1,000 eyes, believing it to be a brief stop on your journey. But as you cross the threshold, your presence ripples through the gilded halls like a stone cast into still water. From this moment, you are no longer a mere visitor. You are a whisper on countless lips, and the palace does not easily forget those it has marked. The gilded halls unfold before you, a labyrinth of opulence and hidden intent. Your feet glide across polished stone floors, each step a soft percussion in the hushed air. The walls, adorned with murals of triumphant kings and epic battles, seem to watch your progress with painted eyes that follow too keenly. Torchlight dances on golden surfaces, casting your shadow in a dozen directions at once, as if the palace itself is trying to memorize your silhouette. You tell yourself you're alone as you wander these corridors, but the soft rustle of unseen fabric and the barely perceptible intake of breath behind ornate pillars betray the truth. Your footsteps echo, yes, but there's always another echo just behind, just out of sync. The palace breathes with you, learns your rhythm, and you can't shake the feeling that when you turn each corner, you're stepping into a room that knew you were coming. The silent watchers are everywhere, their presence a constant pressure on the edge of your awareness. Guards stand at every archway, their armor gleaming, their posture perfect. They don't move, don't speak, but their eyes track your every movement with the intensity of a hawk eyeing its prey. You try to meet their gaze, to assert your right to be here, but their eyes slide past you as if you're already a fading memory. At tables tucked into alcoves, scribes hunch over clay tablets, their styluses scratching out an endless stream of observations. You catch glimpses of your own description in the cuneiform marks, the color of your cloak, the way you hesitate before speaking, the slight accent in your voice that betrays your foreign origins. These scribes never look up, never acknowledge your presence, but somehow, you know they see everything. Servants glide through the halls like ghosts, their steps silent, their movements efficient. They appear when needed and vanish just as quickly, but in that brief moment when they cross your path, their eyes flick up to meet yours. It's just an instant, barely long enough to register, but in that flash, you feel the weight of their scrutiny. They're committing your face to memory, adding it to the vast catalogue of visitors, supplicants, and potential threats that the palace has collected over centuries. You try to shake off the growing unease, to remind yourself that you're here on legitimate business, that you have nothing to hide. But as the day wears on, you begin to notice the subtle shifts in the air around you. The vanishing favor creeps in like a chill draft, impossible to pinpoint but undeniably present. It starts with a word, carelessly spoken in a corridor you thought was empty. You don't even remember what you said, but suddenly, the quality of the silence changes. The ever-present background hum of palace life falters for just a moment, and when it resumes, it carries a new note of wariness. You find yourself before a door that should have welcomed you, only to find it firmly closed. The guard beside it stares through you as if you've become invisible, unhearing as you state your purpose and credentials. You turn away, flustered, only to catch sight of a scribe hurriedly scratching something onto his tablet, his eyes darting between you and the closed door. As you retrace your steps, seeking a friendly face or a clear explanation, you become acutely aware of how the atmosphere has shifted. The servants no longer meet your gaze at all, turning away as you approach. The guards' hands rest a little more firmly on their weapons. Even the torchlight seems dimmer, casting longer shadows that reach for you like grasping fingers. You strain your ears, trying to catch the whispers that surely must be circulating about you. But the palace keeps its secrets well, and all you hear is the maddening rustle of robes and the scratch of styluses on clay. Your name, once spoken with respect, or at least neutrality, now seems to carry a weight of suspicion. You can feel it in the way conversations halt when you enter a room, in the sidelong glances that follow your progress through the halls. What changed? What misstep did you make in this labyrinth of protocol and hidden agendas? The palace isn't telling, but its message is clear. You are no longer welcome here. The favor you enjoyed, however briefly, has vanished like morning mist under the harsh sun of scrutiny. As night falls, the Palace of 1,000 Eyes truly comes alive. Shadows deepen, and every flickering torch casts dancing shapes that seem to reach for you. The constant whisper of fabric and scratch of styluses grows louder in the darkness, a susurration of secrets being passed from mouth to ear to clay tablet. You find yourself walking faster, your heart racing, as you search for the exit you so confidently strode through this morning. But the palace has changed in your absence, or perhaps it was never what you thought it was. Corridors that should lead to freedom instead loop back on themselves. Familiar landmarks, a distinctive statue, a unique tapestry, appear in places they shouldn't be, disorienting you further. And always, you feel the weight of unseen eyes upon you, cataloguing your growing panic, your increasingly desperate attempts to escape. You round a corner and find yourself face to face with a cluster of scribes, their tablets held close to their chests, their eyes wide with an emotion you can't quite name. They part silently to let you pass, but you feel the scratch of their styluses in your wake, recording this encounter for posterity, or for judgment. A guard appears at your elbow, materializing from the shadows with unnatural silence. "This way," he says, his voice devoid of any warmth or reassurance. You follow, because what choice do you have? He leads you through a series of turns and twists that leave you more lost than ever, finally depositing you in a small, windowless room with a single chair. "Wait here," the guard intones, and then he's gone, the door closing behind him with a finality that sends a shiver down your spine. You sink into the chair, your mind racing. How did it come to this? How did you transform from an honored guest to a suspect in the space of a single day? As you sit in the oppressive silence, you realize the truth that you should have known from the moment you entered. In the Palace of 1,000 Eyes, there are no casual visitors, no innocent bystanders. Every word is weighed, every action scrutinized. Loyalty is as shifting as the desert sands, and favor can vanish between one heartbeat and the next. You came to the palace thinking you were just passing through, but from the instant you stepped across its threshold, you became part of its vast, intricate web of power and intrigue. Now, sitting in this silent room, waiting for judgment, you understand at last, the Palace of 1,000 Eyes does not let go of those it has claimed. You step into the alleys of Babylon as night falls, thinking you're merely taking a shortcut. But the moment you leave the main road, the city's shadows claim you as their own. The market's glow fades behind you, a warm memory slipping away with each step. The walls of mud brick and stone press closer, their ancient faces scarred by countless nights, just like this one. The air grows thick with the scent of damp clay, replacing the day's aromas of spice and roasted meats. You tell yourself it's just a walk, just a few twists and turns before you're back in familiar territory. But Babylon's alleys have other plans, and they've been waiting for you. Darkness deepens, and the sounds of the city change. Gone are the shouts of merchants and the laughter of children. In their place, a new symphony emerges, the whisper of fabric against stone, the muffled clink of metal on metal, the soft pad of feet that match your own pace. You quicken your steps, but so do they. Shutters close above you with soft thuds, one after another, like eyes closing against what they don't wish to see. Voices cut short as you pass, conversations dying mid-word, leaving only the echo of your own breathing in your ears. The alleys twist and turn, a maze designed by time and shadow. Each corner promises the main road, each intersection swears it leads to safety, but they lie. Babylon's underbelly has no interest in releasing its prey, so you're not just a traveler anymore, you're a debt to be collected, a secret to be silenced, a prize to be claimed. The city has marked you, and in these dark hours, it will extract its price. Suddenly, torchlight spills across your path, a shock of warmth and visibility. The main road lies just ahead, bustling even at this hour, filled with the honest and the wicked alike. You have a choice now, to step into that light, or to remain in the shadows that have claimed you. But remember, in Babylon, even choices are not truly your own. As you emerge onto the broader street, you resist the urge to look behind you. What follows in your wake is best left unnamed, best left in the alleys where it belongs. But know this, you carry a piece of that darkness with you now. Babylon has tasted your fear, learned your secrets, and it will remember. You may think you've escaped, that you're just passing through this ancient wonder, but from the moment you set foot in its labyrinthine heart, you became more than a visitor. You are now a tale whispered in shadowy corners, a name etched on clay that will outlast empires. Babylon does not forget, and it never truly lets go. The alleys after sunset are where Babylon's true face is revealed. Here, in the narrow passages where daylight fears to linger, the city's heartbeat quickens with dark purpose. Thieves move like liquid shadow, their fingers nimble and their eyes sharp. They are the least of your worries. Spies weave through the darkness, gathering whispers and secrets like others collect coins. Their loyalties are as shifting as the sand dunes beyond the city walls, and their knives as sharp as their wits. In these alleys, a carelessly spoken word can topple kings or ignite wars, but it is those who collect debts that truly rule this nocturnal realm. They are the enforcers of Babylon's unwritten laws, the keepers of bloody ledgers. Their patience is infinite, their memories long, and their methods without mercy. In the light of day, they may bow and scrape before the mighty, but here, in the embrace of night, they are the ones before whom others tremble. You feel their eyes upon you, assessing, calculating. Are you prey or predator, debtor or collector? In the alleys of Babylon after sunset, such distinctions blur and shift with each passing shadow. The stones beneath your feet have witnessed countless chases, deals, and betrayals. They remember the blood spilled in whispered vendettas and the tears shed by those who thought themselves beyond the reach of consequence. These very walls have absorbed the last breaths of those who dared to challenge the night's unspoken rules. As you navigate this treacherous maze, you begin to understand that Babylon's true power lies not in its hanging gardens or its towering ziggurats. It resides here, in these cramped passages where empires are shaped in darkness, far from the prying eyes of history. The air grows heavier with each step, laden with the weight of unseen watchers. Voices murmur just beyond the edge of hearing, speaking in codes and ciphers that would take a lifetime to unravel. You catch glimpses of movement at the corner of your eye, a flash of steel, the flutter of a cloak, the gleam of eyes in the dark. But when you turn to look, there is only shadow and stone. Time loses meaning in this lightless labyrinth. Minutes stretch into hours, and hours compress into heartbeats. You could have been walking for moments or for years. The only constant is the growing certainty that you are no longer in control of your own fate. Babylon's alleys are a living thing, shifting and changing with each breath of night air. What was a straight path moments ago now curves and splits, offering choices that are no choice at all. Each decision draws you deeper into the city's grasp, further from the illusion of safety that daylight provides. You begin to understand that escape is not merely a matter of finding your way back to the main road. It requires outwitting the very spirit of Babylon itself, a task that has broken stronger minds than yours. As the night deepens, so too does the danger. The early hours belong to petty thieves and nervous spies. But as the moon climbs higher, more dangerous predators emerge. These are the true masters of Babylon's underworld, beings of legend and nightmare, who have made pacts with powers best left unnamed. You hear them now, their footsteps echoing yours, their breath a whisper on the back of your neck. They are the reason shutters slam closed and voices fall silent. They are why even the bravest souls hurry through these alleys, eyes fixed ahead, praying to gods old and new for swift passage. And yet, despite the terror clawing at your throat, you feel a thrill of something else. Excitement, anticipation. In the heart of Babylon's darkness, you are more alive than you've ever been. Every sense is heightened, every instinct screaming for survival. You are part of a dance as old as civilization itself, the eternal struggle between light and shadow, between order and chaos. As you round another corner, the main road appears before you like a mirage. The torchlight seems impossibly bright after the depths you've traversed. You could step into that light now, rejoin the world of the living and the sane. But something holds you back, the knowledge that you have glimpsed a truth few ever see. Babylon has shown you its hidden face, and you are forever changed. The city's secrets now run in your veins, as indelible as the cuneiform carved into its ancient tablets. You may leave these alleys, but a part of you will always remain, wandering in the dark, forever seeking the mysteries that lie just beyond the next turn. As you finally step into the light, you carry with you the weight of all you've seen and all you've become. Babylon has claimed you, marked you as one of its own, and in the shadowed corners of your mind, you know that someday, somehow, the alleys will call you back. For now, you walk among the living once more, your steps sure and your head held high, but in your heart, you know the truth. You are no longer just a traveler passing through. You are a name whispered in Babylon's darkest corners, a legend in the making. a story yet to be fully told. And Babylon, ancient and eternal, patient and unforgiving, will be waiting to write the next chapter of your tale when the sun sets once more. The grey hour settles over Babylon like a shroud, wrapping the city in a stillness so profound it feels sacred. The streets lie empty, save for the faintest echoes of guarded footsteps that dare not disturb the slumber of stone and shadow. In this liminal space between night and dawn, the city holds its breath, waiting for a secret it already knows. The air hangs heavy with the scent of dust and ancient secrets, a reminder that Babylon has seen empires rise and fall, has watched countless souls pass through its gates, but some, oh some, it keeps, not with chains or locks, but with the subtle power of a name etched in clay, a face remembered by walls that have stood for millennia. As the first hints of light begin to bleed into the sky, painting the horizon in hues of lavender and gold, a different kind of awakening stirs within the city's heart. It's not the bustling life of markets or the chatter of temple courtyards, but something far more solemn, far more final. Beyond the arch, hidden from the main thoroughfares where life will soon pulse anew, lies a narrow gate. Its existence is known to few, its purpose to fewer still. No grand processions pass through here, no triumphal returns or ceremonial departures. The wooden doors, weathered by time and weighted with purpose, open without fanfare. Only the plaintive creak of iron hinges marks the moment, a sound that could be mistaken for the groan of the city itself. This is the threshold where fates are sealed, where the mighty are humbled, and the forgotten are erased entirely. Those who pass through these doors do not return. They are the exiles, the condemned, the ones Babylon has deemed unworthy of its eternal embrace. As the doors swing wide, figures emerge from the shadows of the city. They move with the hesitant steps of those who know each footfall brings them closer to an uncertain future. Some walk with heads held high, defiance etched in every line of their bodies. Others shuffle forward, shoulders slumped beneath the weight of their sentence. But all share the same destination, the vast, unforgiving expanse that lies beyond Babylon's protective walls. The vanishing path stretches before them, a road that leads to nowhere and everywhere at once. It begins as a well-worn track, the last vestige of Babylon's influence, before fading into the wild lands beyond. Those who tread this path are led by grim-faced guards. Their weapons are necessary against the true punishment that awaits, banishment from the only world they've ever known. As the small procession moves further from the gate, their shapes begin to blur, becoming indistinct against the shimmering heat that rises from the earth. The sun, now fully risen, casts long shadows behind them, as if Babylon itself is reaching out one last time, reluctant to release its hold. But release them it must, for this is the way of things in the great city. Babylon giveth, and Babylon taketh away. Those who once walked its streets as citizens, as merchants, as nobles, now walk away as less than strangers. Their names will be struck from the records, their deeds forgotten, their very existence denied. The figures grow smaller with each passing moment, their outlines wavering in the distance like mirages. Are they men? Are they spirits? Or are they simply becoming part of the vast nothingness that surrounds the city, absorbed into the legends and myths that swirl around Babylon's walls? As they reach the horizon, the heat haze claims them entirely. One moment they are there, dark specks against the pale morning sky, and the next they are gone, dissolved into the shimmering air as if they never were. Babylon has released them, but in doing so, it has ensured they will never truly leave. The silent gate closes once more, its purpose fulfilled for another day. The guards return to their posts, their faces as impassive as the stone lions that guard the grander entrances to the city. They will not speak of what they've seen, for in Babylon, silence is often the wisest course. As the sun climbs higher, life begins to stir within the city proper. Merchants set up their stalls, priests prepare for morning rituals, and the great machinery of Babylon's daily existence creaks into motion. But beneath it all, like a current running deep and swift, is the knowledge of what transpired in those quiet hours before dawn. For those who remain, those who still call Babylon home, the message is clear. The city that cradles them, that provides wealth and culture and power, is also the city that can cast them out without a second thought. It is a reminder that in Babylon, one's status is never truly secure, that favor can turn to disfavor in the blink of an eye. And so, as the day unfolds, the citizens of Babylon go about their lives, each carrying the weight of that unspoken truth. They smile, they bargain, they worship, but always with one eye on the shadows, always aware that tomorrow it could be their name called in the grey hour, their feet set upon the vanishing path. For in Babylon, endings come not with the clash of swords or the roar of battle, but with the quiet opening of a hidden gate, with the soft fall of footsteps on a road that leads to oblivion. It is a city that kills with kindness, that exiles with efficiency, that erases without effort. You may come to Babylon thinking you're just passing through, but Babylon decides who stays and who goes, who rises and who falls, who is remembered and who is forgotten. And once Babylon has made its decision, not all the gods in the heavens can change its mind. As night falls once more, the city settles into uneasy slumber. The silent gate stands ready, waiting for the grey hour when it will open again, when more names will be struck from the tablets, when more souls will vanish into the heat-hazed distance. For this is the way of Babylon, the city that ends you without lifting a sword, the city that kills with a whisper and a closed door. And as long as its walls stand, as long as its name is spoken with awe and fear, Babylon will continue to judge, to sentence, and to forget. You are no longer just a traveler, you are a story Babylon tells itself. And Babylon's stories do not always have happy endings.